So until 16, she was my sister. But the day she won Paris, I become her brother. Zverev is like that. He make so many good movies, and he didn't win the Oscar yet. And for me, all those guys, when they take the clay season more serious, they play much better on grass and on hard courts in the summer.
Welcome to Off Court with Greg Rusedski. We're joined by Kevin Palmer from Tennis 365 and Ashley Neaves, the tennis mentor, who's just come back from Florida, having interviewed one of the greats in Spanish tennis, Emilio Sanchez, former world #7 in singles and world #1 in doubles. He has two brilliant academies, ones that started in Barcelona. And Ashley, you went to visit him in Florida.
Yeah, I had 3 incredible days coaching alongside him with some clinics out there, and it's a beautiful part of the world. Naples, Florida, great academy, great culture, great vibes, which we go deep into actually in the podcast. But yeah, we had some very, very interesting discussions about his career growing up in tennis with, you know, a sister who played phenomenal tennis as well, Arantxa Sanchez, and his brother. So we talk about his early career, we talk about his coaching career as well. One highlight for me was talking about his experience coaching Rafa at the Davis Cup. And I won't give too much away, but very, very interesting insights there. He also speaks a little bit about coaching Andy Murray as a 14-year-old. He joined the Barcelona Academy too. And right at the end of the video, I ask him about who he thinks is going to be joining the pack when I talk about Sinner and Alcaraz. And he had a very interesting player, actually, that neither me, Greg, or Kevin have suggested is going to join that pack. So stay tuned to hear that. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
Hey everyone, so I'm here with a legend of our sport, Emilio Sanchez, former world #7 in singles and world #1 in doubles. First, Emilio, thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
So we're going to talk through a bit about your early days, how you got into tennis, a bit about your coaching career, working on the tour and obviously running this beautiful academy in Florida. And then I've got some fun other questions about some matches that you played against somebody that I know very well. And also some experiences you've had with some Spanish tennis players like Rafa and Carlitos. So first question, how did you get into tennis? How did your journey start?
Well, my journey started because my father was an engineer and he was changing cities. So he was doing a job, and then after 2 years he changed cities. So they were originally from Madrid. So I was born in Madrid, but I was supposed to be born in León, because he was doing a work there, but they always thought they were going to come back to Madrid, but they didn't. So from León, they went to Pamplona. That's where my brother was born. And then from Pamplona, they went to Barcelona, and that's where Arantxa was born. And then in Barcelona, they signed in a club to meet people, because in Pamplona, they were in a tennis club, but it was different sports. So finally in Barcelona, they signed to this club that it was going to have a lot of sports, but for the moment we had only 9 tennis courts. And the guy took the money from the members, went away, so you had to play tennis or tennis. There was no other choice. So we started to play there and started to compete in the club tennis, and so very much fun. And then we just were lucky, was good coaches there, and then we went up.
Amazing. And at what point in your junior days did you know that you wanted to take tennis to that next level?
Well, I was not very, very successful when I was little, because they called me Bolita. I was small and fat. So it was not a good equation to compete at the under 12s and under 14s and so. You could see that I had some gift because I was hitting hard. All the balls were. I was not arriving well with the legs. So, but they saw something in me in the federation. So at 14, they asked me to go to train there in the center. But I didn't last long because they were putting me to play with the girls, and they make a cut on the number of plays, so they put me out, and at 15 or something. And then in that moment, I was going to play in my club. Luckily, I didn't stop playing. And in 4 months, in the summer, when I was turning 16, I grew. And then with everybody that I was losing, I started to beat without training more, by the fact, training less. But physically, I was there. And then because I had the skills, and then I started to do well.
Yeah, I think that's such a good story to know. I think lots of juniors and parents of juniors kind of think that you need to be winning every single match from a very young age, but you develop, right?
Yeah, we just put parameters. The other one is doing well, the other one is winning, you don't win. Maybe that's not my sport. You know, like I love that statistic that a few years ago we did this research, and from the top 100 in the world, the average of making the first ATP point was 18.7 years.
Wow.
So, you know, the first ATP point from the top 100. So, of course, you have Carlitos at 16 win challenges, which is not the right example, but the normal pathway was completely different. And that, if you go backwards, so under 12s, under 14s, under 16s, under 18s, so the people put you in a place that maybe you have a huge talent and you yet don't put it out. So.
Yeah. And obviously, your sister played to a pretty good level as well. How was this in your family as a dynamic? Were you competitive with each other? Did you train a lot together?
Well, we in our family, let's say the one who broke the ice was my older sister. That she was really good. She was number 5 in Spain, like with 17 years old. But at the time, the female tennis had zero help in Spain, no coaches, no. So my older sister went to college in Pepperdine in California, and then it was me that I at 18 I went through to the pros. But the one who had more perspective was my brother. Was number 1 junior in the world. He won Wimbledon, so he looked like he was going to be much better than me. He's 3 years younger.
Okay.
So when I was 18, he was 15, and then he started to be with me all the time. So he started to travel. So by 21, when he was 18, he was already traveling some in the tour with me, and so he was getting a higher level practice. And then we played together. We had the same coach for years, traveling together and everything. And he became also 25 in the world, top 10 in doubles. So he was also really, and we had this kind of rivalry.
Yeah.
He had a bit more of a difficulty because he was younger, and I was the one opening the door. But then at the end, he went through, and he also beat me a couple of times and everything. So. And then we had the little sister, which is like she broke the ice. She was finalist of the national championships at 12 and a half, and she just went through. She won the French Open at 16. So until 16, she was my sister. But the day she won Paris, I become her brother until today, no? But you see how was the tennis in Spain? Like the year that she made the final in that national championship, she was playing at 10 in the morning, the girls. So they play the first set, they play almost 2.5 hours. The first set, 7-6.
Wow.
And then I was supposed to play the final of the men's at 1. And the tournament director went to the court, put down the net, and said, "You girls have to go to play the second set in another court."
No. Wow.
And then she was crying, and so because the men's final was on TV at 1.
Yeah.
So she said, "I'm gonna change tennis."
Your fault.
No, but she just had this desire, like female tennis was not valued and everything, and she went through and she did so well. Yeah,
amazing.
And after that, and she became number 1 in the world at a very difficult time because she was playing against Graf and Celes. So every Grand Slam she beat
one of the strongest eras of tennis, right?
Yeah, and she beat them without huge serve, without huge forehand, very nice backhand, but overall finding the way to compete, which is her strength.
And you got into coaching, and you coached her for a bit. How was that?
Well, as soon as I retired, 97, and she is in a slope there, and she always had this very high admiration for me, and so every time that she had issues, she was coming to me, and I always tried to help her, and so when that moment she felt that she was down in a slope and she was not gonna go out. And no, you have to coach me now. It's the moment. I said, but Arantxa, I don't want to travel anymore. I said, no, but you have to help me. And they said, no. And they say, well, if you retire and you don't help me, and then I retire too. And then
You had to do it.
I didn't want to be responsible for that, but yeah, like it was an amazing experience to go from the men's tour to the women's tour from one day to the other, and then understanding the differences and the toughness of the female circuit, and getting used to that, because I think that we play, let's say, longer. So we play best of five. We play longer matches and very physical. But the female tour is very physical also for the demand that they have, but is very much more mental because they're dealing with much more difficulties to be able to be the best of themselves due to all the emotional and the hormonal fights that they have that we don't have.
Yeah.
So for us, it's much more easy to compete on the day-to-day. For them, it's a bigger challenge, and I always make fun of her about the different moments and situations, the up and downs and everything. But the reality is that I admire my sister so much, but after those years of training her, I admire her even more, because she managed to come back. I say, why you want to do this? I say, why? You've been number one. You have three slams. You have a great career. Why you want to go back? And then I want it. And she found the way. She improved her tennis. She started to play better on indoors. She started to beat players she never beat in indoors. And then she started to be competitive again. And we started in February '97, and by June '98 she won in Paris again. So imagine. So it's not that even if you have one of the best players in the world and you coach them because it's in a slope of being a loser, and then to turn them again to winners is not one day to the other. And say, no, you come, you win again. No, it doesn't work that way. So it's like a rebuilding again. It's like a restart. No, it's like I always talk about Rafa. No, you say Rafa was number one playing on the outside foot back and the front foot left, and then they start to attack his forehand, and suddenly he had to change completely, step on the left foot for the forehand, defend on the back. So from playing like this, he went to play like this.
Yeah.
So only the gifted ones arrived to do those changes. Or Agassi, the last time when he came back, he was bowling. He was another player.
Yeah.
So, and only those minds are able to adapt, to be able to almost be a new mind, like a new competitor, and they managed to also compete and also to do it well.
Yeah, you've got to be special. I mean, so for those watching or listening to the podcast, I've just had another long chat with Emilio for his podcast. So it's called Game Changers.
Yeah, Game Changers.
And we spoke a lot about being coachable. So one question I've got for you is, obviously, coaching your sister. I've got 4 brothers, right? So we find it very tough to work together.
Yeah.
Your sister is obviously clearly very, very coachable. You said that you like the challenge. If you were to coach again on the tour, you'd like the challenge to help somebody out of one of those slumps. You help them from going from a losing streak to a winning streak. What influence do you think you had on Arantxa's game? Do you think it was more technical, tactical, physical, mental, or was it a bit of everything?
Well, tennis is such a demanding sport because you are it doesn't depend only on yourself. So even if you do everything perfect, you can lose a match. Even if you win more points than the other one, you can lose the match. So look, Sinner with Djokovic, win 20 more points, he loses the match in the semifinals of the Australian Open. So it's so demanding in all the 4 pillars, like the technical. If you have something in the technical that there is a tier, the opponent is going to find it.
Yeah.
There is something on the tactical that if you are not disciplined with your tactics, with the opportunities that the other one gives you to be able to apply your tactics, the other one is going to win.
Yeah.
Physical, if you physical you last half an hour, the match is gonna be 2 hours. And that's one of the things with, for example, I make always stories about it. Is like Rafa is starting to play with me, no? So we both jumping, let's say, papam, papam, papam. But after half an hour, he continued jumping higher than me, and he continued, and I start to be lower, and he continued higher. So then maybe we are 5'7", 7'5", 6'3", 6'0", because he continued jumping at the end like the battery, you know, the ad from
The Energizer Bunny.
Yeah. He continued going, and I am not jumping anymore, you know. So then he's gonna win. So that's the physical, and the physical is completely attached to the mental.
Yeah.
At the moment that your physicality is not there, the mental also suffers dramatically, and you have to keep the mental very fresh and very much alert and aware of what's happening for the few points that they're gonna make the difference. So
yeah.
And you do this podcast with Greg. Greg had this amazing first serve, and even more amazing the second serve, because they always talk about the first serves, but for me the big difference, like yesterday with Medvedev and Alcaraz, is in the second serve.
Yeah.
So whoever does this good with the second serve has a very big chance to win. And if you are not aware of those situations, it's going to be very difficult. But the mental goes for me totally with the second serves. And these top guys, they win 90% of their serves in the year.
Yeah.
So you win 90, I win 90. So to how many points we play the match?
Just a few.
Yeah. So, but in those few, you still serve, or I still serve, and you still serve for serves. I still serve for serves. So, but if we miss the first serves, who plays more close to the line the second serves? Who plays with more intention? Who plays with the weakness of the other one? Who takes a risk and do whatever and then makes a mistake? You know, it's a lot of these little things that make a difference in matches. And the more alert you are mentally, the more you can use it. Yeah.
Sorry, I've steered away from your career and spoken about your sister again. So again, it's your Arantxa's brother. But we're going to go back to your career. First question I have is, you played doubles and singles to the best level. How did you manage that? You know, you look at players today and generally they specialize in one or the other. You managed to be at the height of your career very high in both. What was the secret?
Well, the secret is that we were not training that well. That's the number one secret. We were match beasts. So we were so much, how I call like a fit for match. So the people was focusing so much more for matches. So you will prefer to do singles and doubles on the same day to be able to, and then that's how you are in shape, playing the matches.
Rather than playing singles and training, you'll play singles and doubles.
Or training, or taking a lot of time off to be able to get ready. All those things. The sciences around, they were not so developed.
Yeah.
So the people didn't know how recovery. They didn't know about all these new things that they make you be at the same height every day, one day after all. Even if you play a very tough match, the next day you can compete again. We were doing that through matches.
Yeah.
I always take this example in when I talk, is one year in Kitzbühel in Austria. It rained Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning. So we started to play the tournament Thursday morning, 64 draw and 32 draw doubles. So I played Thursday afternoon, 1 single, 1 double. Friday, 2 singles, 1
You stayed
double.
in both draws. You didn't pull out of one.
No, 2 singles, 1 double. Saturday, 2 singles, 1 doubles. Sunday, best of 5 final, won against Mechir. 2 doubles, semis and final, and won the doubles also. 11 matches in 3.5 days.
That's your fault for winning so many.
No, but I'm not saying because I won both, which I was lucky, or normally it will not happen, because if you have one very tough match, or for example, this was in the mountains in Kitzbühel, so it's altitude, so everything is faster. So there's not such a long rallies. If we play that in Barcelona or Rome, probably we cannot do it, because those matches, they're not going to be as fast. But like playing the full match, starting, finishing, that all that demand is the same at the end. No, but you were so much fit, and you go to a tournament, and we learned that from Konos, from Vilas, from these guys from before. You go to a tournament. I practice a lot with those guys, and Konos will be there, and he'll play with me, and then he'll play with another player, and then we'll play with another one. So he'll play with 4 or 5 players in the same morning for practice.
Yeah.
Or Vilas, he'll take stakes to the court, and every young guy we pass through him. One set he kill us, another set he kill us. So there was this culture of the match play much more deeper than the specific of going so much to the detail like today, that they are better athletes, they go to the gym to work specifically on this muscle. We didn't do that.
Yeah.
But there has to be a balance, because, for example, for me today is with the Masters 1000, if you are not doing so well and you don't arrive very far, you kind of like lose the match fitness, because you play one match on Tuesday, then you play Thursday, and then you don't play until 15 days later, and again Tuesday. So how you train in 15 days when you are away? The people loses that match fitness, and when they play now a Master 1000 in 1 week, there is a lot of people who they have 2-3 days in a row matches, and they are exhausted.
Yeah.
So because they are not so used to that, but every time you have to adapt to every situation. And probably if I will play today, I will be on the gym, doing those things to become stronger and walk like.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of conversations you always hear on these podcasts and interviews, comparing your era to today's era and all of these things. And the thing I always get back to is, you in your era you were competing against the best players in the game in your era. You were all competitors, and you were finding ways to one up from each other. And it's the same today. And I think if you were playing in today's era with today's science and the strength and conditioning that these players have, you would still be at the top of the game because of this, your mindset.
Because you adapt to the demand.
Yeah.
And the difference is always on the brain. And I was, let's say, second tier, because I was not in top 5. We had some other guys there at the moment with the Beckers, Edberg, Wielanders, and Lendl, McEnroe, and even like the 5 years later was the Courier, Sampras, Agassi, that we play all together. So we play like 3 top generations together, and with very different games. So it was not like I'm going to do my thing, it's going to work. Mm-hmm. So today it has to work against McEnroe serve and volley, tomorrow against Wielander playing deep balls, and the next day with the topspin of Vilas, the next day to the speed of Agassi stepping in the ball, so or the huge serves from Becker, and so every day you have to adapt your game to this other one's game. So because people don't think so much about the other ones, but when they all play more similar, it's easier. Yeah. But they play different, like you play Alcaraz one day or Sinner the next day, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's the magic. I think that if we arrive to the point that playing so fast and so strong, there will be more different types of games, I think will be even better for us now that we are public and enjoy more.
Definitely agree.
Yeah.
A final question, I can't avoid this one. So talking about your playing days, you played Greg, right? You played Greg Rusedski. I think it was Indian Wells 1993. Tell me about playing Greg, and you can give him as much stick as possible, please.
Let's see. So Greg has this crazy, so difficult to read serve. So he's gonna come. The ball is gonna bounce and it's gonna swirl on inside you or away from you, or even if you're thinking that you have here, and suddenly at the end it goes right in. So it was difficult. He's a lefty on top, so it's a challenge. And second serve also very precise and very 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 strong. So he will not give you many chances to be able to play your game in there. From the back, big forehand. He started to play a bit more slices. I think he was losing at the time. He was a time where he was not completely in his top game.
It was just before his peak, wasn't it?
His peak. No, he was losing a bit ground on the backhand when he tried to overhit it. He was losing ground, and then you will be able to push him. And I like to play, like for example, I like to play lefties a lot. because in the start of my career I played more topspin, but then after I started to play this very aggressive slice. And for example, my record with Muster was on my side. Even if he was the best in clay, I still beat him because I was going to the net a lot and attacking a lot his forehand with my slice or my topspin. So and that I did a lot to Greg. You know, I topspin back there to the forehand, and then find his backhand, and then being able to volley. You know, so and I think that he thought that because I play slice, it was gonna be an advantage for him, but become in some way a disadvantage, and got some kind of negativity around it. Because sometimes when you see the people play, you don't feel the reality, but then you start to go in, you know, and the ball is low and they cannot, and then it's a problem. So he was a bit, you know, what we call a bit junior with me. And I was experienced with him, so I had an advantage on that side.
And you won 4-4, I think, didn't you? But he didn't realize you were the lefty slayer. He didn't realize that you love playing lefties. But no, that's cool. And so now moving on to, you know, other coaching experiences that you've had. You know, obviously you coached Arantxa. You've also had experience with coaching the Davis Cup team when Rafa was playing. Can you tell me, have you got any cool stories for your experience working with Rafa?
Well, Rafa, if I have to say, is that he already, in 2006, when I took the team, he was already won one or two Paris. So he was coming. I knew him because he won his first future at the academy. And,
in Barcelona?
And one thing that surprised me when I talked to him and his coach is that I said, what are you going to do? Because he had this amazing level. I said, you're going to play challenges? He said, no. I said, why? He said, no, because I have to show, my uncle wants me to show him that I have the level from the future. So he won 8 futures in a row after hours.
He showed the level.
But then he had so much level that he almost didn't have to play
so he kind of skipped through the challenges.
So they invite him in Monte Carlo, and then I think he qualified, he beat Albert Costa. But then he got injured. So he had this incredible injury that he had this little bone that he had 2 years. For example, Rafa didn't play the juniors because of the injury. And but he's in that moment already listening to him. I need to do this because my uncle is telling me that I have to have the level. No? But then after, when I took the team, I got to talk to him, and I say, look, Rafael, maybe a bit intense. I'm not going to be able to give you the drink. And then he answered me, Emilio, when I play, this is the brightest mind in tennis. You know, when I play, I'm nervous. I have rage, I have fear. Many times I don't know, not even what is happening. So he tells me, so whatever you tell me, I'm gonna do if I trust you. But you see the mind. So whatever you tell me, I will do, and that's the reality. We in Davis Cup you play 2-3 times a year, so you don't have many chances, and you always try to beat. But he played a match in against Italy. He came in 5 months on hard course, and he was stepping so much back. He's losing set and a break. I said, Rafa, you have to start to come in because this is not working. You don't have to let him control the center of the court. The guy do it. Serve and volley, do it. You know, so the most coachable guy I ever seen.
Amazing.
Yeah, and coachable, not because he listens to you, is because he needs to feed the beast. So that's why he looks at the bench, and whatever they tell him, he's even if he's only like this, he goes, yes. And he goes, you know. And he's super disciplined. He knows exactly the because of his way of growing. He knows exactly the different areas of the court, and he's so disciplined on any ball that goes here, he plays it with the forehand. Any ball here, plays it, and he opens the court. He plays, and one of the biggest weapons for the lefties is the cross-court backhand. So the best lefties always are the ones that they attack you with your cross-court backhand to your forehand, to the righties, and then you play, and then they open the court on the backhand to you. And that he was working to get that shot, then to open the court with the forehand, and then control with the forehand, either with the cross court backhand or the inside out forehand. That one was the two shots that make him who he is.
Amazing. I mean, the thing that really strikes me is you see a player as good as Rafa, you know, when he's playing at 16 these futures events and winning 8 tournaments in a row. Juniors at that level could have a big ego, could strut around and, you know, pay less attention to their coaches. But Rafa is somebody who, as you say, has 100% respect for who he's on court with, whether that's the coach or his opponent. And it's a bit like what you were talking about with what you're instilling in your academies here and in Barcelona, the culture of discipline, respect, integrity, effort, all of these things. It's more than just the tennis. It's how he lives his life off court.
Yeah, totally. And that is the big success. I think that first he wanted to be always better and be coachable, and Uncle Tony educate him that way. On the little details every day to be able to go on that path and be more and more coachable and be more and more believing on what he was doing well.
Yeah.
And he was incredible. I think he with the type of game that he had, he was like unbeatable, at least in clay, and with the game that he had. And this is a guy serving with the other hand. He won 2 Wimbledons, and because of the specific stubbornness on his patterns and on the discipline to find that those spaces on the right moments and on those moments always be ready to succeed and to do his best and for me is the as I said, this most coachable guy that I've seen.
Amazing. And I want to move on to another, you know, the next Spanish player, Carlos Alcaraz. Have you had any experience working with him or seeing him, spending time with him?
No, Carlitos, I just saw him because I'm living here. So since he went on the court on the tour, I saw him because he also won the Challenger in the academy at 16. So now in his Netflix movie, you know, like they show his room and then they show US Open, French Open, and then you see our trophy with the ES there. I said, look at that. So for him, I think that was his first big challengers that he won. And he plays so well. And he, before that, he won I think the 14s also, because we do like 14, 16 tournaments, 12. And he won another big ones of the small ones, 12 or 14s as well. So, but Carlitos, you know, is incredible. It's like a guy who put together this type of tennis that he does in today's tennis. Is like, you know, reinventing the tennis, because in many ways he uses things that they were from the 60s and from the 70s. So he started to do the drop shots. He managed to have, for me, one of the biggest success of him with the backhand is that he's able to play the topspin backhand with 2 hands, slice and volley backhand, pretty natural. There is very few players, if not none, in the tennis world that have a 2-handed backhand and a natural slice or natural volley.
Yeah.
Villander stayed 2 years playing only one hand to be able to develop that, and it still was not natural.
Yeah.
But I think that the work then he was leader with the grip and having the continental grip on the right hand, it helps him a lot for the other types of shots.
Yeah.
Because this one can go with the Eastern or even a bit more for the topspin, but this hand is key because many of the kids, because of the playing so much forehands, they go with the semi or the full Western. When they're gonna hit the backhand, they just arrive to the Eastern.
Yeah.
And then they play a full one-handed
left-handed forehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't use the good hand.
Yeah.
And the good hand, okay, for the power, because with this one they have enough power, but it's for the touch. When you play with your right hand, it's for the touch. And that's one of the things with Rafa that he was saying, no, I have a good hand. I say, and some other players say, no, you don't have a good hand. But he had, for being with the other hand, he had a pretty good touch. Yeah. Good touch, good volleys, but not natural like like Carlitos. Carlitos is more natural. Rafa was with the racket
Yeah.
open, and he played more slice like this, not so much like this, like the other one, and then that brings an extra layer to his game.
Yeah.
That he can do a few more things, and he put the tennis to that incredible level that he puts the people up from the stands.
Yeah.
And with this rivalry with Sinner, I think that they both continue improving. So we don't know where is their ceiling. But also the people think, so the other ones are not challenging them. Well, I think that there is going to be one moment that it's going to be difficult that the other ones get better than them. But they also, depending how it goes, they can lower the level.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday when they play Medvedev and Alcaraz, it's only because Medvedev raised the level and didn't let him play, or maybe Carlos was tired. Maybe Carlos was bored. Maybe like why he didn't achieve his best level on the serve and on his shots. That we don't know.
Yeah.
So as the season goes, we'll see more. So because like Sinner started the year also, he dropped a bit the level.
Mm-hmm.
So tennis is so challenging that you don't always have to be going to beat the best ones to get to that level. Sometimes you can still win because the other ones drop.
Yeah.
And I also talk always like in Rome in '86 I beat Kriegstein #6, Becker #3, Wilander #2. I lost the final to the #1. I lost the final to #1 in 4 sets. Then 4 years later, I win the tournament. I don't beat one top 10. I raised my level because I won? No, because the best ones lowered the level. They lost, so I took the opportunity.
Yeah.
So, and like I took the opportunity to win in that moment, which is also difficult and everything. But many times you have to analyze the full year to see what was the level in every moment from every play, not all in a package, no. Like how is he in that moment and why he is lowering the level and why he's not,
Definitely, and it's an interesting one because, like you say, it's quite phenomenal what Alcaraz and Sinner have done and the amount of matches they've won in their streaks because the calendar is busy. They're playing so many tournaments and, they really don't let it slip very often. And when they do, everybody's shocked and they think, oh, no, that's the end of Alcaraz. But actually, it's give respect to the players that have won. Daniil Medvedev played incredible tennis. Djokovic at the Aussie Open beating Sinner. Unbelievable, just smacking winners down the line every shot. So
but the people don't remember if you play a great match or why you play a great match. The people don't remember if the other one lowered the level or you raise your level. Okay, if you play an epic match, and then the people is going to remember it was an epic match. But at the end, it's always winning that counts more in this country. It only counts winning. They have now 15 top 100s, #1 in the world, but they think that they are a disaster because they don't win since Roddick in 2000, so 25 years without winning. So it's always about winning and how you win at the end. So if today Medvedev loses against Sinner, like
they'll forget that win from
and so you have to play with that. The real level you show it when you beat the top ones in the top matches. That's when you have the level.
Yeah.
If not, you can still win without that high end level. And I always talk about like I play Agassi 4 or 5 times, and a couple of times in Masters he destroyed me in the indoors, like so fast. And in Indian Wells we play also, I think semis or quarters or whatever. He beat me as well, and but then he had the fight with his wife, the Brooke Shields. And then he started to lose the shape. We play in Indian Wells again. I beat him.
Vamos.
But I didn't beat him because I outplay him. I play him. I play the full match. I play well, but he lowers his level.
But this shows what we were talking about earlier and respecting your opponent. Every message that you're saying about your matches, you had 100% respect for your opponent's level and their shots. And rather than giving yourself credit for playing a great match, you've expected what's happened at the other end has made a difference too. It's not just you; it is them. There's two people on the court.
Totally. And when they are young and you find the way, like Indian Wells also. First, I'm top 5 seed or whatever, 6 seed. No, I have a bye, and then this kid beats Krishnan, a kid from American kid. And I tell my coach, who is this kid? Sampras. Say, who is he? I don't know. There was no videos. He's a kid here that plays well. Did you go see him? He said, no. I say, what is your job? No, just kidding, because we were not even watching so much the other one.
Yeah.
So we go to play, and I start to play this kid, and he's like winner here, and serve there, and second serve like this from the line. He wins the first set. I'm so pissed at my coach. You didn't tell me what to do. Angry. And I say, no, keep going. So I keep my patterns. I keep pushing him, the top spin, going to the net, on the backhand here. So he started to be a bit about the situation, the full court, everybody watching. So in that moment, he started to crawl down a bit, and then I push him, and this and that. And then I end up beating him that match. But 6 months later, he made the final in New York.
Yeah.
He raised his level, and he played the level like that one set. But then at the moment of making the difference, he went down a bit, and then I put the level.
Yeah.
So everything is about the level and about the position and about also the hierarchy, like he's going to be the top 5, top 10 player. He needs to get used to that situation as well, which is the challenge. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, I could literally talk to you for hours and hours, but we're limited on time. So I'm going to ask you one more set of questions. If you could give one piece of advice to a player, a parent, and a coach, what would they be? 3 pieces of advice. One gem.
Which?
Go for a player first.
Yeah, but player. But what type of player? What level of player?
Let's think of an aspiring junior, somebody who's 12, 13 years old, looking to kind of play at the highest level.
I will tell him to persevere and persevere with passion to get the best that he can get.
Maximize your potential.
Yeah.
Parent, advice for a junior parent.
Parent, I will tell them that be patient, because your kid is gonna detach from you. Now we are in a junior, so he's in a moment where the parent doesn't count anything, but persevere on the support and on the support and on the difficult moments from the kid, because even if he's away, the player has been playing for him for 10 years. So even if he needs to play for himself or for the coach, the parent is gonna come back on the pole position again. So be patient. Don't fight the process, because the process is about the son living it. It's not the parent living it.
Yeah, good advice. And for a coach?
And for a coach, at that moment, I said to him to try to be the best version of himself, obviously on the court, but outside from the court, and become kind of like the coach for that kid who is living that difficult moment in all the aspects of the life. So and become an important figure for this player to make this journey that the kid decided to make together. So be the best companion that you can be, always trying to as well support the player to be the best that he can be in everything.
Yeah.
Because many times the coaches we thinking only here, but the kids are living this amazing, or not amazing, these cruel battles around it.
Mm-hmm.
And many times we focus so much on ourselves as well, that we don't see what they are fighting outside, that is also then reflected on the inside. Because what the inside reflects outside, if a player reacts bad here, he's going to react bad outside. But if the player is doing the things here, but he's reacting bad outside, he will react bad inside as well. And you have to be also very aware, very focused on that part of the process.
Amazing. And I have got one final question. We've got Alcaraz, we've got Sinner. Which player do you think is most likely to join them?
That, like, it's all about level. So the level that they have is, we can see with the results, is higher. So, for example, let's take a kid that I love, like, is Tin. And Tin has a great game. He has a lot of time, a lot of pace, but he's been beating most of the guys from 5 to 30 in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He's beating them in difficult moments, difficult matches, but then he goes to play with Sinner and he gets
Taught a lesson.
wash of reality, because the other one does everything a bit better.
Yeah.
So Tin has the capacity and the personality and the entourage and everything to be able to clean those areas, to be able to arrive to the level. And also, maybe he don't need to arrive to that level. Maybe the Sinner will also go down a bit. So if they can mix on the way,
yeah.
Or if not, he has to continue growing to arrive to that level. Another one that can arrive to that level will be, like, all the big servers have a bigger advantage. Tin his serve is not that big yet, so he can improve that.
Yeah.
But so like Mensik, Draper. Draper, on top of that, he already showed that he can be at that level or higher. But now he's being injured. He needs to get used to do that. The other day he plays 4 hours against Djokovic. The next day he's not recovered. But I think Draper, we have to count on it because of the serve. Shelton, all the big servers there, and they are on the, let's say, from the 22 to 26. They still raw.
Yeah.
So the other ones, for example, Fritz and all these other guys who are already on the 26 to 30. Zverev is amazing. Zverev, for me, they have to give him the award.
He's the closest, would you say, at the moment to them, consistency-wise?
He's there.
Yeah.
But it's like the other day, I don't know which actor they gave. He was making all these amazing movies and he never got an Oscar. So Zverev is like that. He make so many good movies and he didn't win the Oscar yet. He didn't win the Slam. But he deserves to be, I think, to be up there, and I always push that he really breaks through that because he deserves it. But he's big guy, huge serve, huge backhand, huge forehand. Now he's improving to go more inside out and opening more the court. So he's for sure there.
Yeah.
But he didn't win yet. So I think Fritz is a bit behind him, but it's more. Zverev has a bit more of game in general.
Yeah.
Fritz is very good here, very good serve. But like when he has to start to play around and he has to go to Carlitos or Sinner and play more around, he's gonna take longer to be more crafty in those moments and be crafty, confident.
Yeah.
Because he's crafty sometimes. But can you beat those guys being crafty? That's where the challenge is gonna be. But and I think it's good, interesting times for the tennis. I'm liking it very much, and hopefully I like players to play well and have the level. So I love Tsitsipas when he played well. I love Rune and Ruud. These guys who like when they play well, they challenge the guys. They have the level.
Yeah.
Hopefully they make the step and break that barrier, because it's like we have that barrier that if we don't break it, we will not win those tournaments. But we have the level there.
Yeah.
And,
what I loved, you said it 3 times. You said the word yet. Every time you mentioned Zverev winning a slam, you said he hasn't done it yet. And that's the coach in you, Which slam's he going to win?
That's a good question. The year that he got injured, he was
French
super
Open.
unlucky because he he torn that ankle there, and he fall down, and he wasn't playing Rafa.
Rafa, and he was winning. Like, he was on it.
Yeah, and so, but you have to understand also that for clay, all these guys that serve so well and they play so well on hard courts, so it becomes more challenge and more challenge to arrive on Paris with the right level of physicality and mentally to be able to believe that they can win. You know, and for me, all these guys, for example, Andy, or even Roger, some years he didn't take serious the clay season. For me, all those guys, when they take the clay season more serious, they play much better on grass and on hard course in the summer, because clay is gonna put you in shape, because you have to move in, move out, move side, move in. So even if you don't win, you're gonna be in better shape in the summer.
And hit hundreds more balls, everything.
Yeah, and you have to play more different balls: the short ones, the middle ones, the other ones, the drop shots, the volleys, the everything. So if you get there, and the best example for me, one more time, I don't know if it's in this talk or before, is the guys who believe in that, like Hemman. Hemman make 2 times or 3 times semis in Paris with a slice and serving and volley, because in clay, whatever style you do, if you have the level, it becomes more effective, but it's more difficult physically and mentally to keep it going that way till the end. No, like McEnroe, he didn't beat Lendl that time that he was 2 sets or something, and then he never again arrived in that same shape. Or Sampras, the first year in semis, he was playing amazing clay tennis, but then he never made the effort again to get in that shape again, to be able to succeed in that type of surface, because they play maybe Monte Carlo, Rome, and that's it. Or they don't play anything, and then they go to Paris. You know, and so you know, so I really believe that the guys that go to play on clay, they're gonna do better later on. Yeah, and hopefully we have a great winner this year there in Paris.
I think we will. Emilio, thank you so much.
Thanks to you.
Absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you.
I'm going to put the link in the description below.
Keep going, man.
Keep going, Greg. I'll put the link in the description below for your podcast, because I think it'll be good for our listeners to head over and watch.
Maybe you can play the revanche now. You can beat me.
Hey, you played yesterday. You played with the Bryan brothers, right?
Well, we play mixed, because mixed. One play with me and the other one play with Michael Perfons.
Okay.
So we play like a fun thing. So no tennis.
We're going to organise a match between Greg and Emilio, a rematch from '93. Thank you so much.
Kevin, what did you think of that chat?
Well, you're taking my job, Ashley. You know how to do interviews better than me, so that's a bit of a worry, I have to say. But I thought the bit about Nadal was very interesting. We don't get to see kind of the very beginning of a great career, but it was interesting to hear how Nadal was almost thinking so big, so early kind of thing. I think a lot of these great players do that. They don't think I want to be a top 20 player or a top 100 player. They think I want to be one, or I want to be, you know, the ultimate sort of champion of all time. And we're seeing that with Carlos Alcaraz at the moment. If you watch the recent documentary he's done there, he's not actually thinking, can I win 7-8 Grand Slams, which would have been, back in the day, would have been incredible. He's thinking, can I get to 24? Can I get to 25? And I think that's the way, kind of the mindset of a true great champion. I mean, when you hear sort of Alcaraz and Nadal talking like that, Greg, it must make you think, wow, these guys are built with a mindset that they're going all the way. They don't see any barriers, do they?
I mean, it's quite incredible. And what I like from Emilio is when he said he's so coachable. When he was on the Davis Cup bench with him, and he said, look, if I gave him information or any of the players and he trusts you, he takes it on immediately and he does whatever it takes to find the victory. And I also found it fascinating how Emilio talked about his academy, also working with his sister. That I found fascinating, his comparisons between the men's and the women's game. And he liked to give me a little bit of stick as well, as saying, you know, Rusedski, good serve, very difficult. Backhand was pretty rubbish. Well, Emilio, your backhand wasn't very good either, but you were much physically stronger. Great champion, unbelievable on the clay courts. And I think he got the most out of his game. And he's one of those guys who is brilliant for tennis. And what were your thoughts on it, Ashley, as well? Because we thought, what a great job you did. And we really enjoyed that interview with Emilio.
He was really easy to talk to, and you know, like I said at the end of the video, I think I probably could have spoken for a few more hours, because I did really want to get into a chat about Andy Murray, because I actually featured on his podcast. So I'd been chatting to him for an hour before, and there was some really, really cool insights. So maybe we can get him back on and going into a little bit more depth on that. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed the video. A bit of a different one, a bit of a different setup we had there. We're going to be doing a lot more interviews with some of the best players in the world, the best coaches in the world, other people in the tennis business as well. So be sure to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. And yeah, we've got a lot more exciting things to come. Thank you all for watching and listening.